So hello, this is a bit of a different intro than we normally do because prior to this episode, we'd pre-recorded 6 episodes because we didn't know whether this was going to take off or not, but it seems to have gone down quite well, and we've got a very special episode in that Steve is over from the Middle East. The pull of the Albany has dragged him over, and so us 3 are finally in the same room all at one time. So Steve, welcome aboard.
Button in the flesh.
Shalom, motherfuckers.
So we did pre-record 6 episodes just to see to test the waters, and we're gonna decide to do some more. So first and foremost, thanks for everyone who's downloaded, listened, tagged us in anything on social media. It's been it's gone way better than we thought it would. So that's phenomenal. We'll come now with our begging bowls. Things apparently we've since learned things like rating us on iTunes and Spotify and reviewing us apparently makes a massive difference. So if you have enjoyed it, please do all that. I hate listening to that on podcasts myself, but there you go. We do have the Patreon subscription service where from just £2 a month you can get early access to So Long Too Long episodes, and we are now going to be in the process of doing bonus episodes, so head there. We've had some correspondence, as Steve said, to sound like a Radio 2 DJ. We've had, which has been brilliant, so please send us anything. We've got an email address, solongtoolongpod@gmail.com, or tag us on any socials. But we've had some really good feedback. The best one, we've sifted through them, and the best one was someone saying how much they love our stories about Bob, but the question that John, who contacted us, has is that he still doesn't know whether Bob actually liked us or not.
It's a fair point, actually, after all this time.
It's a question I think about every day.
He's clearly mates, but he's got no idea whether Bob liked the band or not. And it wasn't until I read that I was like, I've never questioned that, but actually, I couldn't say whether Bob enjoyed our music at all.
Yeah,
I'm just going to assume no.
Yeah. What enjoyment did he get from it? I think possibly, obviously, hanging around with us, maybe, but he didn't talk that much either, did he? Was it the drink? But then he paid for it all. It cost him more money to hang around with us because he bought everything. So, yeah, it's a difficult one.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. Maybe he still listens to So Long Too Long. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, actually, yeah, that's the one, isn't it? Yeah. We should try and get in touch with Bob and get him on. The other one was somebody has actually made a pilgrimage to the Albany and sent us pictures of it, and we haven't really spoke much about the pub itself. That's probably an episode in itself, but that was a wild one because it was almost unrecognisable, wasn't it?
Totally unrecognisable, especially like that back room where we would have formed.
Yeah.
It looks like a decent enough booze, to be honest.
It's safe to say 20 odd years ago it didn't look like that.
Yeah,
hopefully the prices are the same as 20 years ago as well.
Yeah.
I always remember someone saying, it's a place you don't take the wife. You know?
That's a plus point.
Yeah. But I haven't been back in since I've been back, but I'll try and just pop in. The main thing I want to see is whether that table that I robbed from there and then had to give it back is still there.
Well, that's another story.
That is another
I've
story.
seen on the pictures that of the new Albany there's like a music corner as well. I just wonder if, we might be on them walls maybe.
Yeah, wow. But there was no music corner until we invented that corner.
There you go.
That's it.
So I know a few other people have asked about the pub, the Albany, but if anyone fancies making a pilgrimage there, send us the pictures. I haven't been there I think I've been once in the past 12, 13 years, so I'd be intrigued to go myself. I don't live around there anymore, but I would be intrigued. Maybe we could, I don't know, do something from there one time.
Do a podcast from the Albany.
From the Albany, yeah. So yeah, thanks for anyone who sent anything in or tagged us in anything. Please keep it coming. Jamie, who subscribes to the Patreon, he's suggested doing badges after every episode. He's been sending us his favourite quotes from each episode, and he's keen on doing some merch for the podcast. So if anyone fancies some badges, some So Long Too Long merch, I think we could stretch to that.
It's about time this fucking group made some money. Fucking hell. Without Bob, we were paralysed without funds. Yeah. So.
My favourite one he wanted to put on a badge was Jib the Hi-Hat. I thought, I'd like that. And Rage Against the Washing Machine. So, yeah, thanks, Jamie. Thanks, everyone. So, yeah, any more correspondence or ratings, it's much, much appreciated. But without further ado, yeah, we're going to go into today's episode. This is So Long Too Long, a true-to-life recounting of a band that, despite their very best efforts, seemed destined to break into the big time if they could only overcome one hurdle, themselves. If they weren't quite four lads who shook the world, they certainly gave their postcodes a tremble. Through one thing and another, a pal of ours called McVeigh finally got us a gig in town. We saw this as a big deal and cared not one jot that it was midweek and our slot was the bottom of a 5-band emo billing. We were just chomping at the proverbial bit. Thanks to Rowie's fantastic archive, I'm looking at a picture of the gig poster in which the Albany proudly sits in black and white for the first time, beneath illustrious bands of yesteryear such as The Martyr, April in May, Jamestown and Unit 15. The date was Tuesday the 25th of October 2005, 5 months to the day since we'd formed, and the venue was the upstairs of the Barfly, a venue where I'd seen many a band on the recommendation of the NME and MTV2, so playing here ourselves felt like no mean feat. We drummed up a rabble of support and our excitement was palpable. Naturally, we arrived with our gear in bin bags and had a spanner on hand, but I vividly remember the thrill of being given the code to the backstage area and being led upstairs by the rep who was working that night. Backstage? Get us! The artist area was as grotty and as run down as we'd hoped. Wide-eyed and slack-jawed, we gaped at the graffiti and stickers that previous guests had left behind on the walls and tried to pick out the handiwork of anyone we could brag and lie about afterwards. Hope of the States. Oh, yeah. We've shared a dressing room with them. Good lads. We were extremely careful not to let on that we'd never done this before, and in a manifestation of the empty vessels make more noise adage, tried to hold ourselves as sage veterans, holding scant regard for the minions who were actually working so hard to make sure the event ran smoothly, as opposed to the mindless moronic newbies we really were. We raided the riders, Carlsberg for all, and ignored the other bands. Despite not being in the band as such, Bob was very much part of our entourage, so he joined us and took whatever he saw his role as being very seriously. A naturally quiet lad, Bob possessed a wild streak that would often reveal itself without much warning, and so it was tonight. Clearly reading the mood of the room as he saw us flourishing rock stars bouncing round, ready to raise hell at the drop of a plectrum, it didn't take long before Bob walked up to the plywood wall that separated our room from the adjacent room and without any declaration or proclamation, wellied a hole in the wall and put his foot clear through. Fucking hell. I'd love to say that at the time I found this behaviour reprehensible and scolded Bob accordingly, pointing out that we should be respecting the hospitality of our hosts and that such silliness jeopardised not only our music career and reputation, but the wider scene itself, as it could not survive without grassroots venues, and treating them as such is an ill-afforded folly. I'd love to say that, but we found it hilarious and laughed our heads off. Bob reacted as if nothing had happened and sat down with a beer while we looked for a television and an open window. So the promised land of town, we'd reached it. We've got a gig in the Barfly. Wow. It felt like a big deal, that.
It was, because MTV2 was still, still going.
Yeah.
And it was because all the bands that we watched on that channel and Gonzo or whatever, they all played there. And it was the one that you wanted to play, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So for the first gig in town, is a big thing, especially for 17, 18-year-old. Yeah. Half drunken, vibo pilled, not bad.
It might as well have been fucking 80,000 at Wembley.
Yeah.
To be honest. Getting a gig in town and the Barfly.
Wow. I think that's it, yeah. Because even if it would have been like a backroom pub like the CI, but in town, I think we'd have been made up. But the fact it was, we'd been to see Zane Lowe there. We spoke about the other episodes, but it really felt like a big deal. Even though, as I say in the narrative, it was midweek and it was an emo gig. We didn't give a toss. It was like, the Barfly.
It's the Barfly because it's like it was a chain of venues, weren't it?
In
the UK, and used to have like
Camden or
the magazines when you go in with like the gig
the
listings.
Yeah.
So stuff like that where you're like, whoa, we're playing here. Have
Yeah.
some of that, mate.
Do you guys remember it when it was The Mask before it was The Barfly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, got chucked
Me,
out of there.
me and Cody went to watch a band there once. Don't know why this come back to me, man, but it was in the theatre. Remember with those weird steps?
The downstairs bit.
Yeah, and we found this like cigarette stuff down it's like a corner of a table, and we were made up with it. So we were like, oh, let's have a little go with that. So ill the next day. Don't know why.
That was never going to end
Yeah,
well. That was it.
what was the band called? They were called like Mohican Blade Runner or something. Shittest band I've ever seen in my life.
You don't deserve to be on that stage.
Yeah.
Nah, that's what you do.
Yeah. But we were upstairs, weren't we? What's it called? The
we were on the
auditorium
good
or something
stage,
like that. Yeah. I can still picture the because for all our bravado, we gave off the air of knowing what to do. But I remember getting there thinking, I actually don't know what you do when you get to a gig venue. You've got
Yeah.
your guitar. Didn't have our amps because we didn't own our own amps. So.
Well, no, our amps were 10-watt amps.
Yeah, so
you know.
we were just on the assumption we were going to use the other band's amps. But I remember getting there being a bit like, what do you do? Because we'd never been backstage or...
No, it's like when you pass your driving test and then your instructor isn't next to you anymore. You're like, I don't think I can drive, you know. I don't think I can drive.
Can you remember being led upstairs? Because it was that door, as you're looking at the stage, there was
Yeah,
like a door
yeah.
round the right. And I remember, someone giving us the code and leading us upstairs. And I felt like we'd arrived.
Oh, it's where like normal people aren't allowed to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you know,
We had I think, like a wristband or something. There was a dressing room for us.
Yeah.
all the gear, no idea. Actually, not even all the gear.
No,
Just no idea.
not all the gear.
So I can't remember how we got the gig. That was it through McFay? McFay was a mutual friend. We all knew him from separate kind of circles, but he was an absolute top bloke. But he was in your school year, wasn't he, Rowie?
Yeah, he actually does this big time now as a job. So I think he worked for like some promotion company, Glassware. I think they used to be in town. I don't know if it's still a thing anymore. But he must have had like a little assignment. Yeah, do you want to put a gig on in the middle of the week? No one else wants to do that. Obviously, he grabbed it at both hands, like that age. So, like you mentioned there, like Unit 15, the band. That wasn't a band. Like when he was telling me about
On the lineup.
yeah, that way in a band. So like when he was discussing about setting up this night, he was like, "Oh, what shall I call it? What shall I call it?" And we were doing ICT at the time, and the course was titled Unit 15. I was like, that's all right, isn't it? He was like, it doesn't sound that great. And I was like, you ain't got nothing else, so let's go with that. And Unit 15, so that was the band night. But I like, if you look at that poster, it's not like, doesn't stand up, does it?
It
Really?
doesn't say Unit 15 presents. So
They used the same clip art I did for Columbo. That's the thing. You know?
It's a non-starter.
Yeah. Should have got me. I would have done it cheaper.
In the right hands, it would have looked all right.
Yeah. Just,
okay, so you're right, because I was thinking there was a lot of bands. So the other bands, the Martyrs, Jamestown. I mean, these were all, we've spoke about it in the last episode, but these were like emo bands, weren't they?
Yeah,
we had
did put
nothing
them
in
in,
common.
We would not go...
Yeah.
feel the tears now. Fucking hell.
Like if it wasn't for like McVeigh, we wouldn't be on that night.
Yeah.
But obviously I must have like got in his ear enough to be like, oh God, this band's gonna be signed, you know, like if he gives a gig.
Yeah.
Like he'd have any pull, but
Yeah.
let alone he had this night. So yeah, go ahead. Do you want to play this night at the middle of the week? Yeah, definitely. And all the band names, so we wouldn't have aired a note by any of them bands, would we?
No.
But the minute you walk in, you can kind of like...
Not our vibe. This.
Yeah, not our vibe. Like, everyone's our age, but kids. Yeah, like, they definitely didn't have Lacoste trackies or...
No, they had like those barbed wire rubber bands.
Oh, remember them?
Yeah, they had them.
Shag bands.
No, not the shag, but
they were like,
plastic barbed wire ones, like
Edgy stuff.
like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then those checkered vans. You know, fucking just a sea of checkered vans.
Just a smell of hairspray.
Yeah,
You walk in.
Yeah.
You could smoke indoors back then. Surprised there weren't a few casualties.
It definitely wasn't rootsy. I think we can all establish it wasn't rootsy. But we were just chomping at the bit, weren't we? We could have been playing with fucking S Club 7 and we'd still be like, yeah, we'll do it.
I would have loved to have played with S Club 7. But instead we had all these bands, 5 of them or whatever it was, singing about this high school that didn't exist.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was like, fucking hell, we all went to the same fucking school, what are you singing about? I've just got PE next. What's so fucking emotional about that? Get your kit on and have a run. Fucking hell.
Back of your books.
Yeah. But it was quite busy. I remember because we'd whipped all our mates and friends, and I remember my mum and dad coming down and everything because it was our first proper gig.
Oh, it was chocker. Like
it was, wasn't it?
Upstairs, you had that like wall in the middle of the venue, didn't you?
Yeah.
There was like,
But the sound desk was.
Yeah, but it was full because the bar was after that. But from memory, it was really full of kids like making the most of like this gig that's about to go on.
Yeah, yeah, and we ignored everyone.
Yes,
Of course.
We were just like, we've got a backstage area, have we? Show us where it is.
even if it was like the bill was shared with like-minded bands,
Yeah.
I think we would have blanked them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the like-minded bands, we all would have been. Well, I specifically would have thought, "Yous are all shit," and I don't like yous. Even though it would have been like, "Hey lads, I'm fucking shit." Then.
Yeah. Did somebody mention Free Carlsberg? Yeah.
Where's the ale?
Where's the yeah. I can still picture it. Well, I mean, it was grotty, wasn't it? It was as run down as you'd want it to be.
Yeah.
I remember being wide-eyed, thinking, trying to hide my excitement because, I wanted to give off the air of, lads, I was always going to take his ear, don't worry. But I remember feeling giddy because band stickers were around the wall, weren't there? And
It was just
graffiti
everything that you could have dreamed of.
Yeah. And
Like
again,
you see him behind the curtain for the first time.
Yeah. The fact it was a Wednesday night, you're playing to your mum and dad, you didn't care. It was like, no, this is what we do now.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Got to get used to this.
Yeah. And Bob didn't give a fuck. Bob was not impressed at all. Bob just sat down on the couch and before long put his foot through the wall.
Yeah. That was one way of making an impression, wasn't it? Because the hosts were really nice.
Oh, everyone was dead sound.
And then I remember sitting in like the corner of the room, and you had the stairway up into our room.
Yeah.
And then this fucking leg just coming through the wall. But as he
Naked leg.
yeah,
Shorts.
shorts, yeah. And then he got stuck.
Did he?
Yeah, so like he's fucking wriggling his leg out. I was like, fucking hell, man. They're gonna see that, they're gonna know that. And the fact that we're the only ones in this room, they're gonna be like, the non-emo band just got emotional and kicked the... But there's no warning, was there? He came up with his bottles of Carlsberg that he probably bought for all of us, and maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Probably like he was probably trying to help us out because he could probably see the tension on us and like, hey, these lads, they're nervous. Just need to break the ice here.
Break the ice, break the wall. Check a Converse wouldn't go through that.
The vans would have no chance. Yeah. That's a proper solid.
Needs a Reebok, Reebok
that's a Reebok. Yeah. Just the gum sole, like today.
Reebok warehouse, man.
Yeah. And he had the leg muscle from all the scaffolding, didn't he? So
Oh, the running from taxis, or whatever he'd get up to. Yeah.
Allegedly,
yeah. We must say, yeah. But it was thoroughly exciting, and I remember scanning the walls for like anyone I could just grasp onto and brag about it. I was in uni then, but anyone I could brag to. Because we'd seen loads of bands there.
I think the week before Franz Ferdinand played there, like that's it,
innit? Yeah.
And he would have been like hot as shit.
Yeah.
Well, Mohican Goldblade played there. No one remembers that gig, but
you had to be there.
yeah,
Only 6 people there, but of those 6 people, they all went and formed a band.
That did not.
All 6, they end up in hospital.
Compared to our first trial gig at the CI a few weeks earlier, my memories of this gig are surprisingly clear. I can't remember if I was particularly nervous, though I suspect I must have been, as we had a fair few friends and family in the crowd, peppered amongst a relatively healthy number of emo kids and watered-down goths. On reflection, this definitely wasn't our scene, and no sane promoter would book a baseless Lars wannabe act to open a night of pop-punk, but we couldn't give a toss. I do recall that during one of my interminable harmonica solos in Lightning Struck Twice, right at the front of the crowd, a young girl rolled her eyes and sarcastically gestured the heavy metal devil's fingers at her boyfriend. But rather than being deterred, this spurred me on to blow even harder, no doubt causing a right tuneless racket for all concerned. This disconnect between our sound and the clientele was highlighted even further when Rowie snapped the string on his guitar on stage. It goes without saying that we were not prepared for such an eventuality. So devoid of any other options, a member of one of the other bands very kindly loaned their guitar, a gargantuan Ibanez that could not have clashed any more with Roey's attire of a Lacoste tracksuit jacket and a Trilby hat any more, short of having the members of Kiss painted on it. But overall, my overarching memories of the gig itself are positive, and I had a world of fun playing on a proper guitar amp that belonged to one of the other bands, which meant I could actually get proper feedback for outro, and for a brief moment or two, I felt like I was the master of getting a discordant wail from an amp that could shake the souls of everyone who heard it. I'd be very surprised if we hung around to watch the other bands, and we were probably keen to vacate the building at the earliest opportunity, lest Bob's uninvited renovation work in the dressing room caused a stir. But I do remember that we celebrated our first proper gig with a Chinese meal in town before going to Labato for a midweek indie disco. After our meal, we were gifted fortune cookies, and the message inside mine was most serendipitous, to the point that I kept it in my wallet for many a year. It read, "Whether you choose fame or love, you will be successful in both." The next few years would certainly throw this prophecy into question, to say the least, but for that night, I took it as a sign. A success in fame and love? It's fucking right.
Tuesday.
Okay, we good.
40.
So we're just looking now. Roey's managed to find the flyer, and we've got it up on screen, and there's a number of things jumping out at us.
Oh, obviously, Unit 15 definitely looks like the headliner. Definitely looks like the headliner. And so Doors on a Tuesday night, remember, at 8 p.m.
That's wild.
And the Albany at bottom of the bill.
Course,
so that would have been
course.
definitely a 8:30 kickoff, I reckon.
Which is late considering there's 4 bands.
And it's late considering, because in the bottom right there, it's got over 14s, welcome.
So essentially, it was a gig for like Biker Grove. Up in Kirkstone, you know. The headline should have been at 8:30.
Yeah. Oh, 14's welcome.
Welcome. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Imagine at the door a 13-year-old trying to chance it.
Has it got price on it or anything?
£4 on the door, so that's bargain, innit? Really, £1 a band.
The band. Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was busy. So that's
It was.
everyone's pocket money.
I have to ask for my money back.
I've got a funny image of like when we got on stage looking out, and it was just a sea of emos with then like my mum and dad peppered, or like mates who I knew from Bootle, their heads just popping up. It was looking back now, it's quite funny to think of that. You know, a real juxtaposition of absolutely not emos, just peppered amongst this sea of emos. Do you know what I mean? And we went anti. I've said it before. We went anti-emo, but we were clearly not emo. And I remember,
If we wanted new ears to listen to our stuff, these weren't
that
ears.
wasn't the place. No, that wasn't the place. And as was evidenced by our songs didn't go down very well. I remember Licking Wood playing me harmonica, and the girl doing the devil fingers, rolling her eyes, and I remember thinking, "Oh, fuck off!
Scorn you."
Yeah. You've made the bars, have you? Yeah, you don't know the
I
cattle.
think I was rolling my eyes your second.
You were doing it behind and we couldn't see it though.
Yeah. I wish I could remember more of the day, because I must have been nervous. And our first gig in town, for all our machismo, I must have been bottling it. I must have been bricking it.
Definitely, because I think even another thing that we would have had to get used to is like the checking in time.
Yeah.
You know, to like do your sound check and all that. So that would have been like 5-6 o'clock, wouldn't it? So we would have been like properly on edge from
there. Yeah.
like 3 hours before the gig.
Probably why Bob kicked the hole in the wall.
Take
the edge off. Take the edge off.
Yeah. Try and get us thrown out of the place before we even play the first gig.
He's on that, Bob, isn't he? I'm presuming it was the same set list as ever that we'd written on the footy flag, which we didn't bring, and thank God, because it would have been too big for that stage. Far too big.
I can't remember playing the gig at all. Can't remember anything. I remember the Bob kicking the wall.
Yeah.
But then after that, there isn't really any memories for me.
Remember the stage feeling massive, because
Yeah.
obviously there's only 3 of us.
And it feels like you're standing 20 foot above everyone else.
Yeah.
So like, you were on top of the world, on top of our world for that half an hour. But my world like just crumbled as soon as I broke that string.
Can you remember how far into it we got?
Well, it would have only... I think it would have been before the halfway point, probably like thrashing out some chords, like 2 minds or something.
And the thing is, as well, you need all 6 strings when you only know 3 chords.
And when there's only 2 guitars as well.
I know, yeah, you can't get away.
No.
There's not much room to get away with stuff like that.
But because we were like so charismatic with the other bands, it really made it dead easy to swap guitars. Like, you know, just blanking them for like the whole 3 hours before. And so I remember snapping it. And because obviously I haven't got a spare guitar on me.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't even cross our minds.
Even more obvious because it does. There isn't a spare set of strings.
Yeah.
So why would there be? Why would there be a spare set of strings? Because you're only on for half an hour. What can go wrong?
Yeah.
So I remember when it snapped, and obviously it makes like that twang noise the minute it happens, and you finish the song. So you're just standing there like a dickhead. I'm looking at you, looking at Steve, just like, what do we do? We have to go home now. It's before 9 o'clock. Like,
get on with all these 14-year-olds.
So like I'm there, and with me like Lacoste Saki on, Sylvie on. And I'm like,
Can we just take a minute to appreciate that for now?
It's a solid look, isn't it? You know.
for the Nemo night, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So I'm there, like 5 strings. I'm like, oh my god, like, is anyone gonna help us here? Do you just want the ground to like swallow it up? Yeah. Then someone from like one of the other bands would have like came from like stage left, like with a cape on, holding this guitar. It's like, oh, it is right. He's done us a solid here. And oh my god, it's like the worst fucking most heavy metal emo looking guitar ever.
Yeah.
And cause I've been honing my craft, learning them chords on me sturdy fucking Stratocaster, using this Ibanez, which you might as well give me like a bassoon and said like start playing that, lad. He gave us this guitar, and like I say, there was probably half the gig left. So thank fuck there's no fucking photos of it.
No, there was a photo doing the rounds of it. I don't know if it went with MySpace. And it's pre you snapping your string, because I've got my vintage SG, which is mental. That's I don't know why I ever had that guitar, because it's not.
It's an AC/DC.
Yeah, exactly.
Guitar,
Yeah.
Like,
it's. I don't know. I moments of madness, but so to look at me with a vintage SG. So for those who don't know, it's the Angus Young kind of the red spiky.
Devil
Yeah. So you've got me playing that in a second-hand Cardi that's about 3 sizes too big and an Umbro shirt, and then eventually Rowie in like an Ibanez ultra ultra metal guitar.
It's like one that D.I.Y had.
Yeah.
You do think, don't you, like the Nirvana Unplugged gig would have been looked a lot different with his cardigan than an Ibanez or that AC/DC Gibson guitar.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I think we might have won the crowd over just with the equipment that we had.
I still had half the buffet from the last gig. Yeah, he wants a drumstick. Not chicken wing this time.
But I remember it going well in the sense that, all right, string snapping aside, and it was quickly resolved that, and we were walking on air anyway. It wasn't a disaster. And as I said in the narrative, by the time we played outro, because we didn't have amps, I was on somebody else's amp, and I was able to get proper feedback. I mean, it probably sounded shite, but it was a thrill, man. You know, and I think I did that, take your guitar off and swing it by the amp, and it must have been dreadful because there was no bass to anchor anything to, But I think the gig itself, we were pleased with it, basically, weren't we? We didn't come off thinking, oh, we're never doing that again.
I was like, I want more of that.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's not as memorable for me, because we didn't do anything terrible during it.
Yeah.
It was quite solid in a way. Yeah, we had our fuck-ups, but it was our first proper gig.
Yeah.
So, I think that's why it's not as memorable, because I think we got through that even.
Yeah.
Not many of them, were there?
Not
No.
Yeah, it gets downhill very quickly.
But for that night, we were walking on air, and we can't have hung around long because we had zero interest in that scene, and it would have wigged us out.
You're definitely making paid. You weren't even hanging around for that.
No, we did just been out for the warm Carlsberg, and they scribbling our name on what was left of the wall.
Yeah.
So we went for a Chinese. That's what you do after the gig on Berry Street. I doubt it's still there, that Chinese.
I think it's gone.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's the one next to Mr. Chili's, or Mr. Chili's has took its place next to a bus stop.
It was the one with the green paint, wasn't it? It was like pea green paint everywhere.
Yeah.
There's something out of The Shining, like when he goes to the toilets and it's all like red. It
was like 4 tables.
It was like vomit green.
And you're like under the stairs, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right next to the kitchen, under the stairs, probably right next to the toilet as well. Some mates came along, someone from Steve's school. I can't remember who he was.
No, nor can I. Really good friends still. Yeah.
So we did that and then went to an indie disco. I mean, that's quality.
It's all right for the Tuesday.
It is, isn't it? I think I ended up in Pop World as well, or Flares, or whatever it was called then. Because I had mates who, like, very different group of mates from us. Like, I don't even know if you ever met them, but they came and they were like, "Oh, come, you know, we came out to see you." So I ended up in fucking dancing to Mariah Carey with this fortune cookie in my pocket, because it was that type of Chinese where you get a fortune cookie at the end, and mine said I kept it in my wallet for years because I was that, like, it felt that fortuitous. I was like, whether you choose fame or love, you'll be successful in both. And I remember, lads, we just played our first gig and this is in my fortune cookie. Yeah, we're going to be famous. I can't get a girlfriend to save my life, but I'm going to be famous.
Should have said in brackets, switch to emo music.
6 other people that night had the same fucking ticket as well.
Yeah. But that was it. It was all systems go from there, wasn't it?
Rock and roll, man.
To the next bigger thing.
Little did we know.
Downstairs.
I'll have the spring rolls.
So Long Too Long is a podcast written by me, Matty Lackland-Day, also starring Liam Rowlands and Steve Buckley. For more information, search So Long Too Long podcast on all socials or email us at solongtoolongpod@gmail.com. So Long Too Long is part of the Club Shipwreck network. For more information, go to www.patreon.com/clubshipwrecked. Thanks to John Gibbons and the Anfield Rap for loan of the studio.
I like playing in the dark.